Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. Well, my name is Soleil and I garden in Michigan in a zone 5B, and today I want to share with you some of my New Year's resolutions for gardening, both indoors and out. So first, we're going to start indoors and then we'll talk about a few things that I want to do outside by heading out and showing you. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how I want to do things inside differently. So this year, one of my goals is to do better with my houseplants. Yes, people might say that I have a green thumb, but just like everybody else, I have some downfalls. So I've already started to meet my New Year's resolution in taking better care of my plants by getting this humidifier. And this is kind of what spurred me on to make this goal of taking better care of my plants. I'm right now in my spare bedroom that I also use as my office, and I have a lot of plants in here because I really enjoy having the greenery around me during the day. But it does get rather dry because it's a small room and I close the doors to have quiet to work. And as a result, the heater blows a lot of dry air. And someone suggested to me that I get a humidifier. And at the same time that they suggested that, I also got an inquiry from a place called Lacidoll. And Lacidoll sells humidifiers, and they offered to provide me with a humidifier to try out. So I have been trying this humidifier out in my home now for about 2 weeks, and I really like it. And I want to show you a little bit about how it works and how it helps my plants. And then we'll talk about some of my other actions that I'm going to be taking to meet my better goal of taking better care of my indoor house plants. All right, so this humidifier I fill up using this giant pitcher, and I usually fill it maybe once a day to once every other day, and I find that provides enough water for it to keep going. Now let me get you a little bit of a closer look here because I want to show you how it functions. So what's really nice about this humidifier is that it has a humidity gauge on it, so you can see how well it's working because you can measure the percent of relative humidity in the air. You can set it on a sleep timer. It can use UV to help kill bacteria or viruses in the air. It has a minimum or maximum output, and I can simply touch that to go to the minimum output, and then this is the medium, and then I had it on the high, which is 3 bars and sends out the most humidity all at once. Regardless, it only will go up to the percentage of humidity that I have it set at, which is 60. And you just simply press the button to change the level of humidity that you want the air to be at, and it will measure the humidity and then go up to that amount. Or you can set it on a timer, and then it just powers on and off. And then it does come with a nice handy dandy little remote control. So what I've found is that my plants seem to be happier, just a little bit perkier, and they don't seem to dry out quite as quickly because they're getting that additional moisture from the air. And the tips of some of my plants are also much healthier because they are not turning brown and crispy. So that's awesome. That's one way that I'm going to meet my New Year's resolution. Another thing that I'm going to do to try to ensure that I'm doing a better job with my house plants is during the summer when it gets warm out and I'm spending a lot of time outdoors in the garden, I want to make sure that I'm coming in here and checking my plants at least once a week to see if they need water or fertilizer. And the reason that that is so important during the summer is a lot of plants will put on more growth because it's sunnier. So I'm going to set reminders on my phone so that I make sure to come in and check them once a week for that. And I think that's really going to make a big difference as well. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to switch from using organic fertilizer to using something more like Miracle-Gro. And people may think this is the opposite of what I might do, but here's my rationale for it. And it might not be that popular, but this is what I'm going to do and see how it goes. I've used Miracle-Gro in the past, and I've used organic fertilizers in the past, different kinds. And what I find is that the organic fertilizer has an odor about it that I really don't like to have sitting in my watering cans if I haven't used up the whole amount that's in the watering can. And also if I have any soil that might have fungus gnat eggs in it, they tend to hatch in there, and they tend to get more nutrition, I guess it seems like, from the organic fertilizers. So that's my reason for switching over completely. The other thing that I'm going to do is use my grow lights more in my basement, and how I'm going to do that to help improve the health of my houseplants is to more regularly check at the time that I'm doing those weekly waterings. If something seems like it's not growing well enough, I will swap it out with something that is currently under a grow light, and that way that plant will have an opportunity to absorb more light and nutrition, and then I can swap it back out at a later date. And that way I can have plants in places where they normally wouldn't get a ton of light, but they also won't die off because I will be giving them some supplemental nutrition through swapping them out underneath the grow lights as needed. Okay, well, let's head outside and take a look at some of the projects I have planned to meet my resolutions for this year. All right, goal number 2 of my New Year's resolutions includes coming out here and doing some serious pruning. And by that I mean cutting down this maple tree. This is a small seedling of a maple tree that grew all by itself. It's a Norway maple. And in our area, Norway maples are invasive. In addition to that, it is also growing right into the fence at the base of the tree. So eventually it won't be very healthy, and it also is causing damage to the fence. So we're going to cut that down. And I waited to do this until the winter because that way all of the leaves, as you saw, are gone off the tree, which makes it easier to get the tree down because it doesn't have as much in the way of what will get caught up in the other bushes that are all around it. In addition to that, it's just going to open up this area a little bit more. Yes, I have a shade garden here, and this is kind of my understory forest type woodland garden, but it will be okay because I have enough other trees. There's a hawthorn that I'm facing right now, and then as you can see behind me, there's some other honeysuckle bushes that help to provide some shade, along with a buckthorn tree that provides some shade. In addition to that, I would like to plant a tree that I actually like several feet back behind the fence that doesn't get as large as the Norway maple. I want something that's going to be more ornamental, something that's not invasive, and I haven't decided exactly what that will be yet, but I think it would be really beautiful to have something that maybe flowers, maybe that provides a little bit of something edible for some of the critters that are back there running around, like the deer and the rabbits and the squirrels. So that's another part of my goals. Now I want to show you a couple other bushes that I want to cut down as well. Okay, so here I am on our back hill, and the shrubbery that I want to cut back here includes these 3 small honeysuckle bushes. Again, these are what I would consider to be invasive. Every berry that falls pretty much grows a seedling, and it's kind of crazy to see in the springtime, and I got to pull them up. And I want to make sure that we get this brush cleaned up, and so we'll be doing all of that at the same time. So this will also help to provide just a little bit more sunlight for some of those nice woodland plants that I put in the ground over here this year, including my ferns and my lamium, and I think that's just going to be wonderful. Again, it's going to give more space for me to probably plant something right in this area over here that's a nice ornamental looking tree. It's going to be awesome, you guys. All right, plan number 3. Let's move to that. All right, New Year's resolution 3. Make the ugly look as pretty as possible. So this is the ugly side of my house. This is the side of the house where I have most of my utilities. I got my air conditioning unit, I've got my gas meter, I've got the vents that come out from the dryer and the furnace. And so it just doesn't look really great, and I'm trying to camouflage it naturally as opposed to putting up fences or something like that. So my goal is to bring this bed out just a couple more feet, all the way out past the air conditioner to where that hose reel will be on the post. And what that will do for me is give me a little bit more planting space, and I'll be able to plant, I think, some shrubs. And I'm hoping that they'll be semi-evergreen, and it may take some time for those to be able to establish themselves and actually make for cover. But we'll see. Maybe I'll find some really great clearance plants this year, you guys, that I can put in, and that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Okay, well, those are my top 3 areas that I want to work on this year. I'd love to hear from you what it is that you're working on this year. Do you have any resolutions for in your garden? Are there any plants that you really want to buy this year? Next time, we're going to be talking a little bit about the fabulousness of seeds and why you need to get some. We'll see you next time. Bye!